Okay. So, as usual, more retarded shilling for the pharmaceutical companies on the part of the media. Here we have Huffington Post. 1 hour ago, Chris Rock has been diagnosed with COVID 19 and sent a message to anyone still on the fence: get vaccinated. I bet you if you go into this article, I wonder if they even mentioned that he was vaccinated. I haven't looked at it yet. Yeah, see, in the article, they say Rock said he was previously vaccinated. But obviously, and of course, in the tweet and in the headline, no mention of vaccination. Let's look at the shilling going on. Let's just witness this in real time. Okay, Associated Press, I saw this earlier. I was really surprised they actually put that in the tweet. Although in the headline they didn't put it. In the tweet they put it, but on the headline they didn't put it. They didn't put that he was vaccinated. That's called a lie by structure for any of you Sticks, Hex, and Hammer fans out there. Um, he's been a great influence for me. I mean, he's not perfect, but he has some very good videos way back where he really shows how the media lies and how they do their psychological operations, basically. Um, let's just go down. Hotep Jesus, he's great. I like Hotep Jesus. I gotta follow him. Let me follow him. Hotep Jesus is the man. He's got 200,000 followers. Uh, please hear Chris Rock. Who is David Weissman? Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck are you, dude? Former Republican, former Trump's. Oh my God, he's just some fucking shit lib, is all he is. Okay, whatever, dude. No, I'm not a fan of Trump either, but these people hate Trump for the wrong reasons. That's the problem. But so we could see that there's a lot of shilling going on. There goes HuffPost again. Fox News. See, Fox News came out and said he has breakthrough coronavirus. See, Fox News, they're fucking shills too, but they see the writing on the wall at least, and they're able to adjust fire. But they're shills too. They're just trying to appear about more. They're trying to appear more sane than they actually are, I guess. Here we go. Billboard. Get vaccinated. Chris Rock has COVID. Never mentions in the headline. See, this is important. People don't read articles. People rarely read articles. They just read headlines. They read tweets. This speaks to a larger problem in our society where people are just intellectually lazy. That's why people don't value history anymore, because in order to understand what's going on today and what's going to happen in the future, you need to study history intensely. You need to do that heavy lifting. It's the only way you're really going to see the patterns in human societies that arise, and how human aggregate groups of human beings react to certain phenomena, and how how the dynamics of power works. Okay, because once you understand history, then you know the future becomes much more, not completely predictable, but much more predictable. The Hill, the Hill really went downhill. I could see why John Solomon left the Hill. I think they just had like a change in leadership. Actually, no, the Hill, the owner sold the Hill. He said he sold it because it's making so much money. No, he didn't sell it because he said, "Oh wow, I grew this company, this and that. With the company is really profitable now, so I'm going to sell it." Oh, someone's texting me here. So reveals he has variety. It's just nonstop. Now here we have Red State, of course. They're going to say he had vaccinations. Okay. Who's this? Dr. Catherine. Okay. And now see, here's the new angle is going to be this. The new angle is going to be, well, that's the reason he got COVID is because he got the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. If he would have got the, their argument's going to be if he would have got the Pfizer vaccine or the Moderna vaccine, no way he would have gotten COVID. Now, I don't know. The data in the so far is mixed on the efficacies between the different vaccines. Even Pfizer, which I think has the most efficacy, is hovering somewhere around 50% effectiveness at this point or less. I don't know. Kind of you hear a lot of different things. I've heard 60. I think that the CDC admitted to 60% efficacy. So you can take that with a grain of salt, I'm sure. But let's just say for to be conservative, let's say Pfizer is 50% with efficacy. Johnson and Johnson, I believe, is not an mRNA vaccine. I believe it's a regular vaccine. Let's look at that right now and see what is Johnson and Johnson. Johnson and Johnson COVID vaccine is it mRNA? I don't think it's an mRNA vaccine. Yeah, see, Johnson and Johnson is not. We can assume from this headline here, Johnson and Johnson is not an mRNA vaccine. Now, I wanted to take this in a different direction, though, because the first thing I want to show you is, what do we have here? Food and Drug Administration. Funding sources. So, FDA's total program level, the amount the FDA can spend, is composed of discretionary appropriations from two different sources. First, the FDA is appropriated funding out of the Treasury's General Fund, which means taxpayer money. Okay. Second, the FDA is allowed to collect and obligate user fees. So in the medical industry, to make any application to the FDA, you have to pay. The company has to pay money, and a lot of money. We're talking $10,000, $20,000 just to file a simple application. In the medical industry, they name the forms. The forms are colloquially called or named by how much money the company is paying in within the healthcare industry. That's kind of what people call them. So, in order to do a new product, you would have to. It would be a 15, I don't know. There's different. They call them 20K, 15K form, 5K form. I think that's like a minor change to a product. So, how much of the FDA's funding comes from that? I wonder if it says here. I doubt it does. FDA funding history. Okay, so user fees. Look at this. This is great. FDA funding spending by source. So they started collecting user fees back in the, looks like in the 90s. And they just started collecting more and more user fees. This is money coming directly from the industries that they are supposed to regulate. Okay? Maybe there's a problem with that. That's worse than that's direct money going directly from the companies they are supposed to regulate into the FDA. It's like 50% of the funding. So you have half of it, it's about 50%, maybe about 45% of the funding, based on what I'm seeing here, comes from the industries they are trying to regulate. If that's not a sign of regulatory capture, I don't know what is. Okay. So obviously, the FDA and the rest of the government, also heavily influenced by the pharmaceutical industry, is going to promote the vaccines over, let's say, drugs like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. Why is that? Obviously, it's because, oh, where was this? I wanted to show you this. Okay. 30. Oh, yeah. So Pfizer expects 33.5 billion in vaccine revenue in 2021 alone. So they don't want to say how much the profit is, though. Okay, Pfizer began phase two study, blah blah, new COVID variants. So the thing is they're willing to tell people how much revenue they're making, but not how much actual profit they're making. But I saw in another article that the profit on these is typically not. No one knows for sure on this one because they're not disclosing it. But the profit margin on these products is typically 40%. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about, the FDA is obviously beholden to the pharmaceutical companies at this point, and the food companies. That's a different discussion for a different day, though. Okay, medical device industry, not so much, because the medical device industry is a much smaller industry, which with much less money to throw around Washington D.C. But the FDA is corrupt to its core. Make no mistake, just like most government agencies, if not all of them. Okay. Now let's go to one more thing I wanted to look at here, just to put everything into. And as we also know, before I go on there, uh, obviously the media from top to bottom is heavily funded by the pharmaceutical industry. You need to look no further than the commercials. That is where they get their money. I don't understand why people don't get this. The media business model, it's an ad driven revenue. They have ad driven revenue. So they make most of their money from advertising slots that they sell to companies, to sponsors. Okay, look, go watch a half an hour of garbage cable news, and you will see probably a pharmaceutical, at least between how many commercial breaks they're going to have in a half an hour, like four. You're going to see at least two or three pharmaceuticals being advertised. It's constant. It's nonstop. What do people not get about this? Okay, obviously, if the media is being funded by the pharmaceutical companies, then they are going to shill for the pharmaceutical companies. There's no law that they have to, there's no law in the, okay, so they're allowed to do that. There's no law against them doing that. Okay, there's really no law against the media outright lying most of the time. I mean, there's defamation, but if you're a major media company, you get away with a lot of defamation because of case law, Sullivan v. Alabama, stuff like that. So I don't understand what people don't get about this. So they're pushing these vaccines, and then whenever another drug that's not patented, a generic drug, it comes to light that that's effective at treating COVID, the media shits all over it. And that's a simple thing. It's because the pharmaceutical companies can't get the profit margins out of a generic drug because they don't have exclusive rights to that drug. See, once it's generic, then anybody can make the drug and sell the drug. That's why they're so much cheaper, because there's an actual free market there. Okay, for those people who think that the healthcare is so expensive because of capitalism, this is proof positive that that's not the case. Pharmaceuticals that are heavily regulated, if they're patented, then the company can sell, and that's a government regulation, by the way. So the patents serve to uh, keep competition from being allowed in the healthcare industry. Okay, so Pfizer has a patent on the vaccine. It gets 40% revenue profit margin out of that vaccine. If that vaccine was able to be produced by anyone, then, and I'm not against the patent process completely. I just think what they tend to do is the pharmaceutical companies will, patents have a certain time frame and then they expire. And what these guys do, they do really sneaky stuff so they can get the patent extended or get a new patent on essentially the same product. So they will change the name of the product and change something superficial about the product, and then apply it to the FDA or apply to the patent office, get a new patent. At that point, no one can produce that drug. Okay, even though it's essentially the same drug. They keep patents going. They've kept patents going on insulin for decades this way, and they're charging people an arm and a leg for insulin. Okay, if that patent was allowed to expire, I mean, maybe 10 years. That sounds fair. Let the company, since the company did the R&D, okay, let them have a patent for 10 years, and then no new patents on the same product, no extensions of patents. After that, anybody should be able to make it. That will bring the cost down. It's government intervention through the patent system that's keeping these that's pushing up health. First of all, pharmaceuticals, drug prices, and also pushing up healthcare in a lot of other ways. That is not capitalism, not even close. As a matter of fact, the United States is barely there's barely any capitalism left in the United States. And of course, whenever there's a problem with the market, Peter Schiff likes to talk about this, and he's right. Uh, Whenever there's an issue with the economy, usually you can bet your bottom dollar that the government had a hand in it. But the government has no interest in the government. You know, their sole interest. Government is a machine. It's a parasite. It thinks instinctually. It doesn't think rationally. It's a self-serving sort of parasitic entity. That's what all governments have always been. And so, like in the 1920, with the Great Depression, okay, the government, they're not going to say that, they're not going to admit that they had anything to do with the Great Depression. They're going to say, oh, that was capitalism. We need more government. Same thing happened in 2008. Oh, that was capitalism. That was capitalism's fault. You should just let us get more involved, and we'll make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay, and as we know, it really was government policy that, in large part, that brought about the 2008 financial crisis. Uh, a lot of it came through the loose monetary policies of the Fed, which, even though it's supposed to be independent, quote unquote, independent of the government, it is basically an extension of the government, and that's just clear at this point. They are influenced. They are heavily beholden to the politicians and to Wall Street. So, this country is so corrupt at this point. It's only a matter of time before. I mean, the federal government's already losing legitimacy, and it's only a matter of time before you know the federal government becomes irrelevant. It's increasingly irrelevant at this point. So I wanted to go to Yahoo Finance. Let's look at, maybe it's here. Let's look at the balance sheet of Pfizer. I was just looking at this a minute ago, and this is an eye popper here. Okay, so Yahoo Finance is excellent for getting data from the on companies and such. Their news is absolutely terrible, though. It's fucking shit. Like, look at this news. It's just really fucking bad. They're all up in arms about the migrant crisis. Anyway, let me not get too sidetracked. I keep getting sidetracked here. I wanted to make a point. I'm picking on Pfizer a lot here, but it's not just Pfizer. Obviously, this is Moderna. This is a lot. So you can go here on Yahoo Finance, and you can get any. You can look up. You can get a lot of information. Okay, I already did, looked it up. I don't know why I hit it again. So we go to financials. Their stock's at 43.89. Okay, so balance sheet. This is the income statement. And then we'll look at the balance sheet, I guess. So, total revenue for the entire year of 2017, 52 million. 53 million 2018, 51 million 2019, only 41 million 2020. You know, what were their operating expenses? But look at this. Already year to date, 55 million, and we still got 3 or 4 months left in the year. And I don't even know if they reported the last quarter yet. Oh, here we got a quarterly. 55 million. Now I see the cost of revenue is 16 million, so maybe that has something to do with the R&D. You know, the R&D for the vaccine. So that's a little higher than any other year. But look how much revenue they got already, 55 million. By the end of the year, so we got 4 months left in the year. Let's look at quarterly. So, first quarter 2021, 14 million. Look at this, 14 million. That's higher. The last quarter of 2020 was 5 billion. This is 14 billion, 18 billion. I'm not sure what TTM actually means. Is that year to date? I don't know. But third quarter is not even reported yet. So that'll be coming out this month, I guess. So they're well on track to go, I think, 70 billion, 80 billion. So that is 50% or so more than last year. Okay. The year before, look at that. They're going to be at like 70 billion. They haven't even reported third quarter. I'm not sure what TTM means, though. I'd be interested to know what that means. But we can see it's obvious they're going to make a lot more money this year. People think that they let's say, oh, the vaccine is free. The vaccine is free. No, it's not. They're charging the government 20 like something between $15 and $20 a shot. Multiply that by like 100 million or however many people took the Pfizer vaccine. Maybe it's like only 80 or 90 million. It's significant money. Okay, so the government's captured by the pharmaceutical industry. They're fucking scamming people. Okay, I'm not saying that nobody should take the vaccine. There's people that need the vaccine. If I was in their position, I would take the vaccine. If I was just 10 or 15 years older, I probably would have taken the vaccine. If I was not as healthy as I am, not that I'm super healthy at this point, I need to get back on the ball. I'm gaining too much weight. But if I was a little less healthy, if I had diabetes, if I was significantly overweight or more overweight than I am, because I'm a little overweight, then I would probably take the vaccine. But they're getting people to take the vaccine that don't need the vaccine. Okay, and it's turned into, especially in the beginning, it was a weird cult thing. I saw people on my Facebook, this gay guy that lives up in New York that I met a couple times, and he added me on Facebook years ago, and he's part of the LGBT cult, and he's like, I just got my vaccine, and he's all telling everybody, and he wanted to argue with me about the necessity for a vaccine, and I just straight up told him, I said, well, you probably didn't really need this vaccine, but if you want to be consistent, then that would mean you would take the flu vaccine every year too, wouldn't you? If you're worried about COVID, you probably have as much chance to die from the flu if you're young. And some strains of flu have a much higher probability of killing younger people, especially children, than the COVID does. Okay, and he was just all like up in arms because I questioned the vaccine. It's this whole cultish sort of groupthink thing, and that's what separates the sheep from the fucking wildebeest, I guess. But this is this is interesting, and I don't know what else. Let's see what else is going on Twitter, just to. Governor Kate Brown, I love to troll her. Fucking goober. New York Times. Who cares? They've been going off every couple years. The media gets all hooked on one of these white girls that turns up missing. It makes it a big deal. Huh. Honor system. Okay, United Nations is demanding world leaders arriving in New York for its General Assembly to adhere to an honor system to attest that they are fully vaccinated against the coronavirus, but that mandate will be tested in the general. Okay, so I don't know what they're saying. I'm not getting defiantly unvaccinated. We'll test you. So this is their Trump. This is like one of their Trump substitutes that the media has created. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's so obvious. People, back to the vaccine though. People, I don't know what it is about why people see. It's the problem is people don't value or understand or know anything about history. Then they wouldn't trust the government. Then they would see people like Fauci for what they actually are. Fauci is a money shoveling bureaucrat. He has a doctorate degree, yes. How much actual research and science has he actually done? Okay. Has he authored, just been the primary author at least, of any major paper in the last several decades? No. He's a fucking bureaucrat. He's not a fucking scientist. A scientist contributes to the body of science. He does nothing but shovel money around to his friends. And he's a narcissist too. Why do people believe people like Fauci? It's because they don't understand history. If they understood history, they would think twice, but they would take everything that comes out of any government agency with a grain of salt. But even in real time, we've seen them lie and show their incompetence and lie some more to cover up their incompetence. People still believe them. So I don't know. Yeah. So anyway. Just trying to show people here the situation. Look at that. That's just Pfizer. Think about Moderna. Look at the balance sheet. Look how big this company is. When we say that's a total assets, $154 billion. That's no bullshit company. That's a lot of assets. Okay? So, this is a major company. They have a lot of influence in Washington, and people are getting scammed. I'm not saying nobody should take the vaccine, but if you're 20, 30 years old, even 40 years old, and you're healthy, you have no reason to take the vaccine. None whatsoever. You're getting scammed. You're getting scammed into putting some fucking garbage into your body. I know it's hard to admit when you're getting scammed. It makes you feel stupid. A lot of people would rather bury their heads in the sand than to reckon with the fact that they're getting scammed on any given issue. I get it. It's kind of like when an old friend is conning you, or when a lover is cheating on you, and it's hard to accept. Okay, but this is what's happening. People are getting scammed over and over again, and you would think they would have, as far as the media is concerned. uh, I think even the most retarded cable boomers realize now, deep down inside at least, they won't admit it, but they realize that Russia Gate was a scam, and they fell for it, and that's why they don't want to talk about it anymore, because they know they got scammed. If they seriously believed it still, they would be talking about it. Nobody on Twitter is talking about it. Everybody knows it was a fucking scam. They'll never admit it. Now, deep down inside, in the deepest depths of their subconscious, they might understand that fact, but even on the surface of their consciousness, they won't admit it to themselves. But they won't talk about it anymore for a reason. You know. So even after all that, and all the times they get caught lying, people do not want to admit to themselves that the media that they revere, and some of these people literally revere the media, okay? Especially the older generations, the boomers, the silents, and the older Gen Xers. I'm more of a younger Gen Xer. They don't want to admit it to themselves because it makes them feel stupid. It makes them feel like they're getting played. But the thing is, everybody gets played. Everybody gets played at some point in their life. Okay, the difference between a wise man and a dumb man is the wise man can admit to himself and realize he's getting played and take steps to prevent it from happening again. The idiot will not admit it to themselves. Okay, they'll stay with the woman that's cheating on them. They'll continue hanging around that friend of theirs they've known forever that's conning them. All right, and they'll suffer the consequences. Now the thing is, with the media and with current events and all that, there aren't as many immediate consequences, so it's much more viable of an alternative to just refuse to admit you're getting played and going along with it, and even perpetuating the lies yourself in order to justify your support of the legacy media. It's not like something that's immediately consequential, so people will just go along with it. All right, so all right, that's it for now.